Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the E-Tims podcast. My name is Desi, and I'm glad to say tonight I'm joined by the regular crew, the man from the suburbs, our resident tactician, Hector Bandido. Good evening, Hector.
Evening, guys.
Thanks for joining us. And the man from across the water, Monty CM Burns, as I know it says on his video here. Welcome, Monty.
Evening, lads. Good to talk.
What's the C for?
Is it Cardinal? Cardinal?
I'll say chairman, just to be on the lighter side of humour. If anyone wants to send in their opinion of what C could stand for when it says CM Burns, we'll be glad to hear it. We may be joined by Ralph Malph. Any of Ralph Malph's fans out there, i.e. his family, any of Ralph Malph's family who are tuning in to hear his dulcet tones, he is currently working as usual in the white van, but he's hoping to join us within the next half an hour or so. So fingers crossed he can join. We may also be joined by a special guest. We're still waiting to see, but if not, I'm going to give a quick plug to Laura Dewar, otherwise known as LDT Store on Twitter. Hopefully a lot of people are aware of Laura's Twitter handle and her excellent Celtic merchandise, various t-shirts, tops. Monty's actually modelling a very lovely tracky top. I don't know what the modern parlance is. Is it still called a tracky top, Monty?
I think so, yeah. I'm kind of I'm feeling at that age where I'm not down with the kids, I believe is the phrase.
You can't say that anymore.
You're wearing it well. You look like a fine Stone Roses fan, let's just say that. But yeah, so Laura, LDT Store on Twitter, folks. And Laura, the reason we're highlighting Laura, as well as that excellent Celtic-related merchandise, is she's just opened up a pop-up store. So we're hoping she could come along and give us a wee plug for it. But Hector, you did pop in, I believe.
I popped into the pop-up store last Saturday, me and my two boys, and we went in and Laura kind of apologised because it's not all set up yet. Just wanted to get out there where we've got a home match on, and went in, and it's right on Springfield Road. So you come out the Lisbon Line stand, end of Janefield Street, and just go across. Is it the Oak Pub? I think it's right next. I think it's next to the Oak Pub. Lots of obviously it's all our own stuff. So I had a very brief chat with her, and I said just give it a time, build the name up, and I'm sure she'll do extremely well because some of the stuff's fantastic, as you guys know. You've bought some of it yourself, guys, haven't you?
Yeah. So I'd highly recommend Laura's merchandise. Everyone, the website is ldtee.bigcartel.com. So, and also, as I say, LDT Store on Twitter. So that's a plug for Laura. Please try and support all the Celts out there doing their own thing.
Can we just be clear, Desi, for the people listening, our two listeners, that we don't get any commission from this. No, we are just doing it of the kindness of our hearts. Yeah,
this is purely us celebrating Tims out there doing their own thing and doing it extremely well. Quality stuff. As Monty is modelling quality stuff.
And can I just say that disclaimer was brought to you by Spadetown Lager, the finest lager made in Ireland.
Finally!
Soon to be launched to the market.
I thought we were waiting for the big sponsorship announcement. What happened there?
No. We're in
So that's Spadetown Lager.
Spadetown Lager.
Wait a minute. This podcast becoming like CQN's website. What's going on here?
So when you're wearing your LDT merchandise, drink some Spadetown Lager. Lurgan's finest, available now.
A fine compliment to this fine LDT t-shirt, tracky top. There you go.
Tracky top, excellent. So that's us done more. But also, I would just give an arse out. If anyone's listening to this on the Friday evening, Giorgio Stefaris is running a raffle on Twitter to try and raise some money to get some warm jackets for some of the homeless and some of the kids who can't afford stuff over Christmas. So just try and help out. And again, try and keep a wee lookout on Twitter. There's loads of folk. We've got Andy Pingu doing the mental health walk and talks. Hector, that I know we like to support where we can.
We do a wee bit.
So again, try to promote it. And if anyone out there is listening and you have something you feel is worthy for us to promote, we're not looking for any involvement. We're just happy to give you a shout out and try and make the world a little bit better.
Anyone from Ferrari or Boss Clothing, please get in touch with anyone.
No, now that Spade Town's on board, we're looking probably Maserati and Lamborghini. I think those are easier to import into Northern Ireland at the moment. I've heard that rumour after Brexit. So that would do. And a Range Rover, a blackened out Range Rover would be lovely, says Monty Burns of Lugden Ireland. Right, okay. Right, so that's us done the promo. So best of luck to Laura and LDT Store. Let's go, right. So we'll get a couple of somber items before we get into looking at Angeball. First of all, our thoughts with Wim Jansen and his family. Sadly, Wim's went public on being diagnosed with dementia. Hopefully, everything's okay as much as it can be, obviously. I saw Murdo McLeod was over visiting Wim and his family. I think Wim's launched a new book. So the very best of luck with all that happens with Wim Jansen. And Hector, on our ETIMS Twitter, ETIMS Net Twitter, you posted up a commiseration to Walter Smith's family.
Yeah, it was just one wee tweet, right? And we're of a certain vintage where you'd mentioned Wim Jansen, and the one season he had at Celtic was 97-98 when actually his Celtic team stopped Walter Smith's Rangers team winning 10 in a row. So there's a link there between the both of them. So obviously Wim Jansen and horrible disease dementia, particularly in athletes, particularly in football. Like the heading, there seems to be more and more science, more data coming out that's proven beyond the fact that too much heading of the ball is having an impact on a lot of the football players. I know Chris Sutton's dad was impacted by that, and there's a big commission taking place, so hopefully we'll see some real changes. And Walter Smith, listen, let's separate it. The man's passed away. Used to hate, as a young man, Walter Smith and his team because of the rivals. They were successful. The man's passed away. His kids have lost their dad. Wife's lost her husband. Was very successful for Rangers. Was a Scotland coach for a while. And for me, in addition to that, I've heard numerous things from people who knew him, who grew up in Carmyle, who were Celtic men, who didn't have a bad word to say about him. Just a Rangers man. Loved his team like we love Celtic. Yeah. And we all go over the top now and again. That's just the nature of sport and rivalry, isn't it? As Billy Connolly say, we're all a wee bit of 90-minute bigots. Desi, sorry for stealing your line there.
Well,
and I suppose the main thing is it's football rivalry, right? You know what I mean? The guy's passed away, so thoughts for his family. So yeah, that's really it.
Yeah, and there was loads of nice stories in respect to how nice it seemed to be a gentleman, regardless of Rangers Celtic stuff. Seemed to be a gentleman. There was a lovely one for the Hearts Disabled Supporters Association. Don't know if anyone saw it on Twitter, and they basically highlighted that they basically had a fundraiser to get to, I think it was like a World Cup or a Euros.
It was 98 France World Cup.
Was it? Sorry, yep. And basically they get bumped. The guy who was running the charity, whatever, get bumped. Typical Edinburgh. Somebody bumped. Somebody ran away with the money. I think promised to turn up with the cash. Never. They still end up over in France for the game. Walter Smith came across them, had a chat with them, and basically they managed to tell them they weren't like pleading poverty or anything. They weren't out the begging bowl. But he just happened to hear their story, reached into his pocket and gave him every bit of money he had at the time, and actually apologised because it was only like €200 at the time. But I mean that kind of attitude to help those poor folk out. So again, that was nice touches, loads of nice wee kind of comedy touches. So if it's worth looking for.
Yeah, the one thing I knew was one thing I forgot to mention was, and also I think the thing that sticks in a lot of people's heads from the Celtic side was when Tommy Burns passed away.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a pallbearer at Tommy's funeral at St Mary's in the Calton. So we just got to remember that. We in the moment, football, we all hatred's there. It's a wonderful part of football rivalry. It's why we love the sport and the game so much. But remember, after that, 99 whatever % of us are just normal human beings, and someone passes away, somebody's lost somebody they love. So. Yep. Yeah,
exactly. And again, this the closing thoughts. But that was one of I seen a Rangers fan highlighting on Twitter the fact that when they returned for getting beat with Zenit in the UEFA Cup, whatever it was, whatever final they were in, when they returned for getting beat, it was Walter, what's your thoughts in the game? this is our first interview back in Glasgow, and he said, no, our first thoughts are with Tommy Burns passing away. He wasn't even interested in discussing the football. It was, so fair play to the man, and as you say, rest in peace. Right, okay, so we'll move on. That was the somber items taken care of. Let's move on to something that's a little bit more uplifting, especially when we come to you, Hector, as a resident tactician. Monty has a Spadetown lager in his hand that he can raise as we celebrate Angeball, and I've renamed it Angeballistic here. Oh, Hector, you're finished.
I'm empty.
Your rosy wine is looking a little bit
empty.
I've got an iron boo, sadly, here. I've got to chair this thing.
That looks like a Lars whiskey to me.
That's fine. So, so I can go to Monty if you want to go and get a top-up, Hector. Don't worry, the listeners are quite happy listening to Monty for a while.
On you go, Monty. Go for it.
Okay, so Monty, Angeballistic, I've renamed it. What a difference a month makes. On October the 1st, we were all a wee bit kind of upset because we just got humped 4-0 with Leverkusen, and we weren't really sure where this was going. So far now, in this last month, since October the 1st, played 5, won 5, scored 11, conceded 2, played Aberdeen away, 1-2-1, played Motherwell away, 1-2-0, played Ferencváros at home, who humped us last year, remember, 1-2-0, played St Johnstone, the double cup winners, at home, 1-2-0, and then, of course, the other night we played Hibs away, 1-3-1. So, when is Ange going to turn this around, Monty? When's it eventually going to come good?
It was funny when you said about all of us being a wee bit annoyed on the 1st of October. It's a shame that Hector's nipped off to get a top-up, because I remember having the debate. You got to stick to your principles. The minute you ditch them is the minute you give. And Postecoglou had a cracking quote about if you're a vegan, you don't just nip into McDonald's because you're hungry. And I thought it was brilliant. It was nice about it.
Mate, you've got to put mate at the end of it, remember?
Mate at the end of it as well. I think they've had time to get to know each other. He also was a really, really revealing quote during the week. He said that they've had time not only to settle into the football club, but to settle into their lives in Glasgow. Yeah. That's really, really interesting in terms of psychology. And it also, while it's not to go over old sort of painful ground from last year, it's an insight into the difficulties that were faced last year, not only with the pressures of the league and ultimately blowing it, but also with a ton of new players who just couldn't settle and other ones who wanted away. So I think you're seeing the outworkings of that. The players obviously enjoy the coaching. They enjoy the style of football. Every one of them that's interviewed talks about it. And what player doesn't want to play attack-minded football? He's had time to work with them, even at that international break, to get a bit of fitness into Giakoumakis, get a few boys returning back as well. Johnson back, which is good to see. I think you're just seeing his ideas starting to get across better and players starting to believe in it. And the first half against Hibs was just exceptional. It was absolutely exceptional. I think I struggled once or twice under Rodgers. I thought we had that much. We just looked like a team 2 or 3 levels above Hibs for 40 minutes until Rogic got kicked off the pitch. Just everything, movement, intent, speed of thought, speed of pass. Like the Kyogo goal was just a thing of beauty between Jota to Rogic to Jota and scored. It was just beautiful. So it's exciting, and I'm delighted that we're starting to see the fruits of it, because he comes across as a really decent man as well. So exciting times, Dave.
Yeah, I think you can kind of see, it's quite interesting when you see like the equivalent of the Ronnie roar now when he starts to come up at the end, and it's like punching the air, and it's that way you can kind of see the wee bit of steel behind the smile, if you know what I mean. As in, we're starting to show them. And then again, the mate to the interviewers. Again, during the last couple of weeks, we had the who was it we played? Was it St Johnstone? I think it was maybe St Johnstone game, and it was it's a bit of half full, and he said something like, that win, how was that win? Was that as expected? And he was kind of like, wait, I'm not going. You can tell he's not going to take that kind of shit anymore. That kind of same Martin O'Neill kind of. Are you kidding? Are you really kidding on with that sort of questioning?
Yeah.
So Hector, we're asking here. Played 5, won 5 since the 1st of October, and this was following our Leverkusen 4-0 defeat. But let's be honest, we were played off the park realistically. I know we could have scored a few, but they were never really at a first gear. Yep. So have you enjoyed the last 4 weeks then?
Oh, 100%. And sorry, Monty, I didn't hear anything you said, so apologies if I would repeat some of the stuff that you've mentioned. But we discussed it. We'd mentioned at the time that our two most important outfield players, Kyogo and McGregor, were missing. And that was probably the biggest impact in a threadbare squad. And at the same time, I think, Desi, you'd asked us at the end of the last podcast predictions for the game. I actually think Monty and I both suggested Celtic win 3-1. So first half we were dominant in the first half, but only, say dominant, didn't create a lot of chances, but dominated the ball, comfortable 1-0. Second half, Aberdeen just went direct, causes a few problems, to be honest with you. But what was good was we made a sub. So thinking back, one of my complaints was I wanted a bit more pragmatism for Ange, right? Stick by that. Absolutely. And he actually did. Two of my complaints were the Sorrow experiment. Stop bringing him on, whatever. He's not kicked the ball since, so he's obviously worked that one out. And Desi's going to jump in at this point any moment. I can feel it any moment, right? And I said, as a squad player to come in as a 6, knows a centre half as a 6. I said, Bitton can do a turn to protect the defence. We know his limitations, but as a holding midfielder in his position, right? He started in Pataudry. He brought Rogic on with 20 minutes to go for Bitton. And Rogic was the guy that set up a fantastic turn across the guy, gave the ball out to the boy Montgomery, who'd had, to be fair, a lovely square pass for Jota for the winner. That was great. A hard-fought 3. Looking back, that 3 points could be the pivotal point for us of the season, that late goal at Pataudry. Went to Fir Park. I thought it was a brilliant control performance. It was 2-0 going on 5-0. Just that they controlled the game. I know people go, what you talk about control the game? We kept the ball that much, possession that much, that was snuffed out any danger. Apart from one second of madness from Monty's favourite player at left back, Bolingoli, who did his arm up in the air, which was a penalty. We got away with one there, right? But listen, let's not detract from the performance. Let's not detract from the performance.
Even himself out.
We rise above it. We're honest about things, right? But listen, don't detract. We totally controlled. Fir Park's a traditionally difficult ground to go to. Controlled the game, won well. I thought the European game, I couldn't get away from work to go to that one. So we're all working with the TV on watching.
I made the second half.
The second half, caller. Funny enough, it was a game of two halves, wasn't it? Because the first half couldn't really get going, but then again, it's a 3:30 kickoff on a Tuesday afternoon. There's some mitigating circumstances here.
You never managed it.
And because I'm a professional. And the second half, I thought the second half they were really good. And I'd asked you in our chat, I'd like to see a dominant performance, just in control of the game. And I thought the second half, the scoreline flattered Ferencváros. It could have been 4-0, 5-0. A couple of sitters missed again. This might sound daft. We ground out a victory last Saturday, which is something that you need to do sometimes to win leagues. St Johnstone's one of the most frustrating, annoying teams you come up against. Any chance to break up the game, to stop the flow of a game, a throw in rather than taking 10 seconds, or take 20 seconds, a goal kick, will always go to the opposite end. They're the masters of doing it. And listen, they're on a fraction of our budget, so I'm not really going to criticise them too much. But we ground it out. And again, I don't think they'd one shot target the whole game. So really happy with that. And then I thought the first half at Easter Road was certainly by a distance the best away 45 minutes of the season domestically. Should have been at least 4, maybe 5-0 up. Rogic, best game arguably in God knows how long, or best 45 in how long. And him being off sort of changed the game because he was running the show. He was absolute dynamite.
It's Rogic, let's be honest, over the years, Rogic's been more of a best 4 to 5 minutes in that game.
Aye.
You know what I mean? It's amazing when he's on the ball, but we've never seen it consistently. And I noticed Ange Postecoglou in his interview today actually says, well, he's maybe due a rest because he's played more football, like really intense football, not this drifting in and out of game. He's been the pivotal guy in the games than he has since he joined Celtic. But let me go back a wee bit.
Go for it.
But no, just purely looking back on those 5 games, as you said, the pivotal game, pivotal goal might be that Jota goal at Aberdeen. Because again, it's showing, like Monty will come to you, it's that desire to get into that place. Yep. And like you said, Montgomery, who, let's be honest, hasn't exactly been overly lauded with praise. people were like, he's only a young boy, etc. But he was still willing to run into that space at the very end of a game, willing to send the ball across the goal rather than just try for a mad goal for a mad angle and waste the opportunity. And then Jota's willing to run in while the guy's blindsided. And it's those wee things, that kind of heart. We're suddenly showing that heart and that desire to win the game rather than just draw and get off the pitch and get away from the pressure. We're not hiding for the pressure anymore, I don't think.
I think you're right. I think it comes back to the notion of getting used to what's being asked of them and being brave enough to go and try it. Some of the patches, like some of the passages of play where they're not even 10 or 20 yard squares. They're in 4 or 5 yards. They're that close to each other in proximity, being pressured, and they're not panicking with the ball. And even playing it out from the back that way, that comes from heart. Heart's, the irony of Guardiola thinking he was never good enough with the ball at his feet and he wanted somebody different. And you always got that in the back of your mind. But that Cruyff run that he did at Motherwell, you're like, really? But you're looking at a bunch of players now, I think, that are getting more comfortable, that are getting probably braver, and they seem like a really happy unit at the minute. And I think that's a huge contributor to the way we're playing at the minute. And I think the more they get used to playing with each other, the more they bond and gel as a team with this guy leading them. It just, I know we said it feels just exciting. It feels like we could be on the start of something really, really positive. And it's been a while since we've been able to say that.
That's interesting, Hector. No, that's interesting you say that, Monty, because the next game is Motherwell, right? And I was down in Ballock. I was away a kind of last day down in Ballock, and Hector, I walked into the pub and it showed Celtic 1-0 up, and at that point, for some reason, that Aberdeen game was a turning point in the league. Suddenly I saw like Celtic 1-0, and my pal was a Rangers fan, shrugged, just turned in and went, well, that's that game won then. No, that way, that wee kind of wee bit of acceptance now that you're a wee bit stronger, you're a wee bit wiser, you're a wee bit harder. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like, hold on, we have turned a corner here. And you say it was this one clinical, professional 2-0 wins, right? So that's Motherwell dispensed. Then we go to the Ferencváros game, 50,000 people at Parkhead or whatever on a Tuesday afternoon. But as you say, it was a bit of a kind of game of two halves. But maybe we appreciating the fact that, as Monty just alluded to there, the kind of 5-yard triangles or 5 feet triangles, how draining that is. Because the Ferencváros coach admitted they just couldn't live with Celtic after 60 minutes. They were knackered. They were actually shattered. And that's like the mental fatigue of chasing a ball, even if it is just being played across to McGregor, to Starfelt, to Hart, to Vickers, to McGregor. It bores us to tears sometimes, but then you realise the opposition are really getting worn down.
It bores you to tears when they keep see, and this is where at times I think it was Rodgers' third season. You think, I remember the two centre halves would do that and whatever, but it's different. What would say is different when it works? What's different when it works this time is that it was very static that third season. Mm-hmm. What happens this time is if you watch it, you're absolutely right. Starfelt and Carter Vickers will get the ball a lot, and they'll look to go to McGregor, but they'll go to left back. They'll go through the middle again. They'll go to right back. Then they'll go through the middle again. So the ball's not just that wee triangle. It's multiple triangles across the pitch. And it's stretching teams across the pitch. If you just do the same bit 9 times out of 10, that's easy to defend against, right? But they're always moving across the field, and that is hard. Eventually, it catches up with you. And that was the sort of tactics Pep did with Barca. We had this conversation in the podcast before. That's his style of play. At Barca years ago, obviously world-class players to do it. Yeah. And you can see, Ange, it's a similar system to Pep's Guardiola with inferior players. That's just really where we are, right?
Yeah.
If it comes off, it's stunning. If it doesn't, it's seat the pants, shine yourself stuff.
Right. We'll come to that in a second because I think there's a wee bit of evolution there too. But I am glad to say for all of Ralph Mal's family who have been listening in and waiting patiently for the man himself, the man from the Black Magic adverts has just joined us. Good evening, Ralph Mal. How are you down in Stoke?
How you doing? You all right?
Welcome back. Hope tonight's shift wasn't too bad. Okay, so we've already covered. We've covered Laura LDT store on Twitter. We've covered her new pop-up shop, so you've missed that. I know, Ralph, you're a very big fan. You're usually wearing your Quadrophenian gear. So you're a very big fan. We've covered that. We've covered Wim Jansen and Walter Smith. And now we're on to Angeballistic. That's what I'm calling tonight's podcast, due to the fact that we've been sensational in October. So if you enjoyed the last 5 games, the last time we chatted, Ralph, we just get beat 4-0 with Leverkusen. And now we've went 5 games unbeaten, scored 11, conceded 2, won 5 out of 5. How are you finding October?
Well, I'm not surprised. You could see wee glimpses of what he was trying to do. You could see that there was a pattern emerging, and there was I'm not surprised, and it's going to get better. I'm not surprised at all. Thoroughly enjoying it, and you can see the pressure now mounting on the other side of the city.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm just about to come to that. So, but Hector, back to you for a wee second, because I think you'd have been at the St Johnstone game. I was going to say it was quite interesting, but comparing the St Johnstone game to the United at home game, I think there was a big that way. Like the crowd, we were quite confident against St Johnstone. We knew we could bide our time, so to speak. We weren't any panicking. It was just a case of stick to your guns. We'll get there. This game will see itself out okay. There's no any need to. There's no concern. Whereas the Dundee United game, I think. I was just sitting in the main stand watching the United play triangles. When about us, we were chasing name in that game. It's totally opposite now.
Aye, it goes back to. I've always said this, right? It's no rocket science. It's a results business, right? If you get a couple of results, it builds confidence, especially a new squad, new group of players. We thought we'd got that at the start of the season. I think the loss of Kyogo and McGregor for a period, who are our 2 best players, right? Just transform the team. Them returning gives you that control, gives you that confidence. And by the way, what was actually thinking back now, especially good about the St Johnstone, Kyogo wasn't that involved. No. He actually had one of these quieter games. That's a positive. Some folk may go, what are you talking about? It's a positive, because you don't depend on one player then, right? The fact that we won a 2-0 convincing, I don't think St Johnstone had one shot and goal the whole game. And let's not underestimate them. They won the 2 cups last year. Their manager knows how to organise a team, how to frustrate a team. And even the qualifiers in Europe, did they go to Galatasaray? Was it one each? The two, and they were terrible. So they know how to frustrate you. So I was really happy with that, because we ground out a win. You've got to win in different ways, right? When it's on, it's on. Celtic won 5-6-0. It's on. It's when it's no on, and you've just got to just bide your time. And they did that last week. And I get back and go to the Hibs game as well on Wednesday. I would say the first half was the best away 45 of the season by a mile. Yep. But see, the second half, we're under a bit of pressure at a ground that's always hard for us. But we went through that bit of pressure for 5 minutes. We defended well as a team. Then we were in control again. We didn't create a lot, but we just controlled the game. And I think that's vital for how we need to play for the rest of the season. Right?
Yeah. So I'll come to you now, Monty, right? I've just got here players to note October. So I've got a list here, but I'll leave it to you. Who do you think has especially caught your eye in October?
Monty, see before you start, Desi's got a bit of a stoner for Carter Vickers. I'm just saying that, right?
I'll be back in a minute. Dave Batista to you, thank you.
I think Turnbull has grown into the job massively, and I think those couple of games with McGregor out, he stood up and he's become. I heard 2 podcasts ago, I was saying he looked like he was struggling to keep up with the whole pace and rhythm of the style of football that Postecoglou wants to play. So for me, Turnbull has looked really, really sharp. Rogic has just been on a different planet. But also at the back, Anthony Ralston, for all his limitations, appears to be a man playing at the peak of his powers. You get a sense that, he's club man of the year already. He's not of the quality of Juranovic, but he's every bit as effective. He's scoring goals and he's in there and he wants it. And that bit of attitude, more than makes up for any limitations he has, I think, in his technique and his own qualities. So hard to pick out 1 or 2, but I would go with those guys. I think October they've really, really stood up. The only other one I would say, Hart just looks like, you touched upon it before we started, the Forster factor. Hart just looks like an absolute wonder sign. exactly what we needed. Just leadership right from the back. So no, if you were to put me on the spot and say pick one, I would still probably stick with Turnbull. I think Turnbull's turnaround, if you'll pardon the pun, has been brilliant in October.
Right, that's a very interesting thing, mate. This highlighting your Anthony Ralston promo there. Georgina87 on Twitter tweeted today, we made me laugh. I know it's probably been said about a million times on here, but I honestly can't believe thanks, Hector. I honestly can't believe the progression of Anthony Ralston this season. He's came from a brickie you'd feel comfortable with building your new build to the best right back in Scotland. It's mesmerising, and I'm here for it. And I think that really kind of sums it up. He did look as though his footballing career, let alone his Celtic career, was heading down the exit road. I don't even think we were contemplating him moving down the leagues, let's be honest. It didn't seem to be finding a home, on loan, etc. But now suddenly it seems to be the right back. I actually thought Juranovic would step right back in at right back. Yeah. I don't know if that will still be the case if and when we get an answer to the left back question. But that would be interesting. But Turnbull's interesting. I'm not fully convinced with Turnbull, but he's got a really good chance now to fully stake his claim as the attacking midfielder with logic out. So what about you, Ralph, then? Anybody caught your eye? We'll get Turnbull.
Funny you should mention Ralston. It puts me in mind of something I read many years back talking about Tommy Gemmell. It might have been Brian Glanville that wrote it when he said that Gemmell's not the best left back in the world, but he thinks he is, and that makes him a far better player. And I think Ralston's confidence is what's making him a better player now. He's never going to be a Danny McGrain, but as long as he thinks he's going to be a Danny McGrain, then he'll do just fine. When you look throughout the team, there's a huge difference in the confidence now than there was 6 months ago. In fact, even maybe just a couple of months ago. Yeah. They're starting to believe in what Postecoglou's doing. And also, to go back to another standout for me has been, believe it or not, Near Bitton, who just in this podcast I thought was a liability. But he won against Hibs, and he made a difference.
He came
on the lost the goal.
The Bethlehem.
No, he never.
But he's coming on and he's adding that wee bit of steel to the midfield that we don't have with Roger, Turnbull and McGregor. It's maybe, I don't know, maybe Ange sits down and listens to Hector.
I think
you never see them in the same place at the same time, to be fair. But no, that's interesting, Ralph. And you kind of hinted, you were kind of hinting also an overall team aspect. It is a kind of team. James McFadden, I know James McFadden get dogs abused the other night on sports. Wait a minute, team a second. James McFadden get a bit of dogs abused the other night for the Aberdeen penalty discussion. But he's also been praising Celtic. And one of the things he noted, going along with what you just said there, in respect to, like, say, your Ralston's inverting into your inverted fullbacks, etc., it's the fact that they've now got the confidence to let Ralston go up the park, because McGregor knows he's confident with the centre-backs behind him, plus he knows somebody's going to step in to help cover. Whereas before we were just leaving big mad spaces everywhere and we didn't know who was going to help. But suddenly they've got a wee bit of awareness, they've got more spatial awareness, they've got more confidence in each other. They know that if I go, you'll cover. They're talking, McFadden was highlighting the fact that now it's a case of if Ralston goes, Juranovic moves over inside, so they all kind of move across the pitch rather than move up the pitch. So suddenly you've got three guys covering the space for four rather than where before with Juranovic and Ralston up the park. So they're starting to learn and get maybe a wee bit more pragmatic, Hector. They're more like keeping one stays. That idea.
That's what we spoke about. Right, it's just common sense, and Ange's got a philosophy. It's good that you imagine a philosophy is great, because many times I've seen managers that don't have anything. It's if they're through a guys in the pitch and just say, go and do your own thing. It's good, but sometimes when it's not working, it's just that wee bit of nous just to say, right, we'll just tweak it a wee bit. Back to your question about who stood out. Well, there's a few, but the one that stands out head and shoulders is Near Bitton. really, Desi, isn't it? He's been the Bethlehem Busquets. He's just.
You keep trying to get that hashtag.
And by the way, I know when I put it out there, I know when I put it and you read it, your fucking veins are popping at your neck and everything. No, listen. No, I think I'm obviously having a laugh there, but Ralph's point, from a squad perspective, where you can bring in a 6'3" holding mid who just does the basics compared to Sorrow, who's the opposite of doing the basics, right? He's a headless chicken. It helps a wee bit. He's not a starter, and that's why you need a decent squad. I think Joe Hart's been fantastic. Joe Hart, he made 2 saves on Wednesday night. We were so dominant in that game, and yet, by the way, that was easily 2 other goals that we'd have lost last season. Yep. Easily. They won the first half, and they made it 1 each. It was a terrific save. The guy's like 5 yards out, and he stretched his right leg out and blocked it. The other one, I think, was to make it 3-2. Would have made a nervy last 20, 25 minutes. He's been brilliant, and it's his leadership. You can hear him. Organisation, shouting instructions, something we've not had before. So that's been great. I think Carter Vickers and Starfelt have now built a partnership. It takes games, but you can see that. Starfelt's not as bad he's been made out to be. He had a really poor start. He's done in the main well, and if he makes one bad pass, people would jump on it. So what about the 9 good interceptions he made or whatever? Yeah. It's as if it didn't happen. I just wish folk would go over that shite, right? Carter Vickers looks solid, a unit, an absolute unit, and I must admit, quite impressive. McGregor's the man. Everything goes through McGregor. He's the elite player at Celtic with a Kyogo, a very good second. But they've all stepped up. Jota's been excellent. It's hard to really say one. I think it's about confidence has grown. The team's grown. The manager's grown. He's made a couple of wee subtle changes as well, and they've won 5 out of 5 convincingly. So, listen, absolutely over the moon with how it's been going the last number of weeks. And win tomorrow, Ralph's point, win tomorrow, which Hobby Livingston, let's be honest, we should win tomorrow, right? Win tomorrow, we go top, be a point. They go to Fir Park. Let's see how they got on. Let's put a bit of pressure on them, because Gerrard doesn't like pressure.
It's going to be a right shitty day on Sunday, so that would be nice.
The other thing I was going to say about the team spirit, when Carter Vickers get fouled and get booked, you'll notice that the players immediately get around him and stood up and stood by him. Even Joe Hart ran the length of the pitch, as it were, to offer his tuppence worth. And I've not seen that. The only other player recently I've seen get involved and do the physical side was it Malimbo, his name? For Kilmarnock? Well, a kind of enforcer type player.
Well, Scott Brown did it for 11 years, didn't he? He was one of the
but he's getting on
about it. What a goal!
I was coming to Scott Brown's goal. Coming out later. I was going to say Scott Brown was usually the guy on the deck getting kicked, like Carter Vickers.
But you've seen players immediately getting round and supporting each other, and we've not had that for a while. But again, it comes back to the team spirit. It comes back to, if a player's having a bad day, the rest of them help him out. If a player's having a good day, look up to him and go along in his jet stream.
Yeah, it's thing with like Monty I mentioned earlier on regards Ange talking about Ange's quote regards if you're a vegetarian you don't jump into McDonald's if you're hungry, so to speak. And like McGregor has been giving a lot of press conferences recently. I think he gave one with the fans forum, and he said it's all starting to come together because all the players are starting to get it. They're all starting to be a lot more comfortable with the system, a lot more comfortable. This is what we said there a minute ago, but a lot more comfortable with each other. And you know yourselves, as soon as you know where everything is, and you've got confidence with the guy either side you're not just relying on Kyogo doing something amazing. So Kyogo's been quite quiet. I know he's scored a few goals, but he's also been shunted out to the wing to try and bring the big Greek guy in to give him some game. We've managed to give him at least an hour. I mean, like that kind of. We've Mikey Johnson got an hour the other night. So suddenly you kind of see the squad's starting to fill up. The squad's starting to improve. And I know that might be a shame for some like people like Welsh and Montgomery, etc. But let's be honest, this is the harsh reality of football. Hopefully they'll get their chance if and when it comes along. I mean,
I'm still desperate to see Juranovic and Forrest on the right hand side. Because that's a game changer. I'm serious because you're right. I'm not actually saying anything wrong about Ralston. Ralston surpassed, I think, all of it. Let's be honest. Cards on the table. Yeah. We never thought for a second we get to almost November and Anthony Alston would have done what he'd done, right? So we're delighted for him. He's actually proven without a shadow of doubt, fantastic squad player, easily can step into a job domestically anytime, right? Brilliant. Juranovic, watch the way Juranovic, I know he's not a left back, when he gets the ball, how he takes it, how he pings it, accuracy. Now, Ralston's not got the same accuracy, his endeavour, his heart, he's been terrific. But see that speed of movement, speed of passing, right? Watch how Juranovic can do it right back, and if you had Forrest there, it's a game changer for how we play.
Add the same thing on the left. Upgrade the left back position. Have Jota in front of that, and your cover is now Mikey Johnson and Abada for the two wings in front of them. You're looking at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And if you get that, if you get a system, it also means you can swap them over. You can do 45 minutes. You can do 60 minutes without having to worry about but even like Mikey Johnson. I've not been his biggest fan by ever, but you can see Celtic that low press. Celtic maybe struggle a wee bit sometimes to break it, but then you can bring a Mikey Johnson, a dribbler. I know Jota's a bit of a dribbler too, but Mikey Johnson's your 1 yard dribbler. He's right up. He's right in front of the guy, going, I'm going to put this through your legs. That kind of idea, rather than your give and go guy. So suddenly you've got an option.
Desi, here's a wee thing about Mikey Johnson, and we may have discussed this a year or so ago. Remember when Celtic had was it the booked out the SCCC? I think it was, wasn't it? Was it 2 years ago? And they did the Q&A, and it was all the Celtic reps were there, the players and coaches and that. And Damien Duff did the Q&A. Now, everyone accepts that Damien Duff's an outstanding coach, fantastic football, but outstanding coach. And looking back, probably the biggest miss for us when he left. He was asked about talented players, and he says the most talented player he's worked with is Mikey Johnson. And that stuck in my head. For Duff to say something like that of his ability and his knowledge and his coaching abilities, there's something there. I just think the kid's been unlucky. Remember Forrest at the same age with the hamstrings? Forrest is older now. Then Forrest went through a good run of games. I think Johnston's just one of the guys. His confidence, if you get injured all the time, the heat must just dip horrendously.
That spot.
So Mikey Johnson was just, the interview last week was talking about his frustrations and feelings because he's Celtic daft, letting down his family and supporters. But he said Celtic got a new head of sports science in 4 weeks ago, and he said he's been working with him every day, and he feels an enormous difference. No shit, you know what I mean? Who'd have thought head of sports science going to work with players would make a difference? And Mikey Johnson, hopefully, now he's got that professional help, we'll start to see a bit of a benefit for him and get a run of games, because there's definitely talent there, and confidence goes with the talent, doesn't it?
That's it. Yeah, him and Forrest should hopefully it'll be a case of. I mean, I know Forrest is getting on now, but you can nurture him and maybe get an extra year out of him. You know what I mean? Because it'll be really good to see him. Because his fit, like we take James Forrest for granted a lot. The thing with his football brain, you know what I mean, would be and actually bringing our guys on, bringing your Jotas on, bringing your Abadas on. You know what I mean? That influence. We've the same sort of influence as McGregor.
It was like Scott Sinclair when he came to Celtic
exactly.
Season. He changed James Forrest's game. I think Rodgers must have said to him, what was Scott? Because Scott Sinclair would hug the left touchline. But the ball was on the right hand side. He was sprinting to the number 9 position. Forrest started doing the same thing. That did that to his game. And the goal started going through the roof. So you're absolutely right.
Raheem Sterling aspect. I mean, like you're saying, Guardiola said to Raheem Sterling, why are you standing there? He said, I'm a winger. He went, no, you're a forward. You know what I mean? He didn't try to tell people the difference. So that's quite outstanding. But again, like I'd been talking to Monty before, the Joe Hart influence is just. I mean, it's like almost you can almost see it. And I mean, it's like this. He brings that calm assurance. He obviously he's bought into the whole Celtic thing. And I mean, I think he appreciates. Like I seen him putting up Instagrams out for his dinner last night with Juranovic, sitting having a steak together. Not really like the camaraderie, the team. But I mean, as Ralph says, he's running in to get involved, and he wasn't even running to get involved in the fight. Ralph, he was running in to make sure Carter Vickers was okay. Took him away for the ref. That calming, professional, wise experience, rather than just the kind of bluster nonsense that we used to get for a lot of people, which never gave us in.
Shows as well that when they're not playing a game, they're working together behind the scenes. There's obviously been an increase in the training, the intensity of the training. Excuse me. But the other thing is they're working together. They're working on what they used to call shape. They're working on what they used to call supporting each other. You know, like a rock star will tell you that for every hour that they perform live, it's a day's rehearsal. And I think they're doing kind of the same thing. I really think they're working hard on the training ground, whereas before it was, you know, a couple of laps, pass it to each other, and then go to the pub.
Sorry I missed a couple of minutes, sir, lads, but I just want to jump in on that point because there's something really, really interesting. The coaching staff haven't changed. So what's changed? Remember last year when all the derbies...
One aspect of the coaching staff has changed.
Yes, so but this is the thing, right? Postecoglou takes training, as far as I'm aware. Fully hands-on, directs all the sessions. It's his game. Lennon's management style is to delegate to people like Kennedy and whoever else was there. So I think that there's a really, really interesting piece in it. One, the stuff about the players who didn't want to be there moving on is absolutely accepted. People, that's human nature. But we turned on the coaching staff. We thought Kennedy might have been part of the problem. We thought the whole disjoint between him and the manager was part of the problem. But actually, if you look at it, maybe Kennedy's limit is a coach being directed by someone on that same playing field. Or maybe this is the inevitable sort of, the curve of your learning from a new guy and his new methods. Because even Strachan, before he came in for that 3-month gig, Strachan said he was really looking forward to watching Postecoglou and his methods. So by hook or by crook, but most definitely not by design, we could well have ended up with an absolutely...
Don't jinx it!
I'm not trying to jinx it. I'm just remembering... he's won the fucking lottery statement when he got the job. Just remind me.
That's a fact.
You're sitting there with your Speed Town lager can, let it go.
And another one. Soon to be released, Mark.
Listen, remember, it's ups and downs, isn't it? A roller coaster.
Life.
Through a good spell through, let's just keep it going. Just keep it going.
That's very interesting. That is a brilliant point to make, Monty. Again, because I think that's been overlooked. No one's actually mainly it's one of those kind of, it's just slid away down the side of the couch, the John Kennedy, Gavin Strachan factor. None of us mention it anymore. It's no longer an elephant in the room. It's just one of these things.
Well, there is a big change. Hold on.
I know.
Stephen McManus is now the first team coach. That's the game changer as far as I'm concerned. Right?
Stepped up. Right, no, but that's interesting because again, we're talking about Carter Vickers and Starfelt kind of developing their relationship, etc. And I noticed there was a good chat. I don't know if anyone saw it with Big Chris Ayer at Brentford, who've been doing very well, drawing the Liverpool.
No interested, Desi. No interested.
Listen, this comes back to exactly what Monty was saying and regards Starfelt, and it was the fact that Ayer was saying playing for Celtic prepared them for the EPL perfectly because of the demands playing for. Bear with me, Hector. You're attacked. You like this? And thing me, it was the pressure of playing for a team that's going to win all the time, blah 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 blah. But he said football's evolved. And I've written down the quotes here. A centre half is the most evolved position in football now. It's a 360-degree position. It's no longer back to goal, clear anything away, punt anything away. And I think it's come back to what you're mentioning there, Hector. Every time Starfelt makes the slightest hint of an error, everybody's on. Because we're no appreciating, and Postecoglou's come out and said that people have to be patient because the demands I'm putting on the centre halves are unbelievable, and if any errors they make are my fault, they're not their fault, because they're not expecting to have to play as McGregor. I mean, that's basically what they're getting asked to do.
60, 70 passes a game.
I mean, but that's so, and then Ayers also, but coming back to Ralph's touching on regards what they're doing outside of training, and Ayer also mentioned it's a 24-hour job now, because as well as then getting in and doing your training, doing your 2 hours, then go to the bookies, the old school, what you're doing after you do your physical training is you're going and research, you're having to do your research on your opponents, you're having to do your research on your style, these sort of things. It's all totally evolving all the time.
Well, that was one of the first things, Desi, that Brendan Rodgers did. Was when we spoke about it. He came in on the Monday of the week in advance of the weekend game. Each player was given the pack of information about their direct opposition player, the team style of play, and the referee. Where the referee allowed fouls, physical play, non-physical play, verbals. every week, each player was given that by Rodgers. So that's just a different level from what we'd had before.
So we're back. So this is again that roller coaster you just mentioned there. So again, when we're running doldrums with Lennon regards that aspect of.
Apart from Monty still upset he's not the manager.
I'm trying not to upset him here in case he spills any lager. But now we're coming back at the let's call it direct style of management. The Frank Lampard used to take. Frank Lampard apparently has pre-match preparation for games. Frank Lampard was "Go and enjoy yourself, lads." And I can imagine Lennon saying something like that, "Go and enjoy yourself, lads." None of this. Every time they cut inside, I want 3 guys in the middle and I want 4. That clinical perfection. So now we have committed those dark ages and we're back into the modern scientific football light. You know what I mean? So it'll be quite interesting. And again, that journey's going to progress. We're just at the start.
But remember, I don't know if Monty caught it, but a month ago, Celtic at long last appointed a head of sports science.
Yeah.
For over a year, we've not had anyone involved in such a key aspect of professional sport. A month ago, that's a game changer, and I hope to see Ange bringing 1 or 2 more coaches that he wants pretty soon as well. Hopefully that will even add more improvement to how we're doing.
Which is not to say that the ones that we've got need to go. It's just taking it more seriously, getting somebody, even if it just means he's monitoring the diet, just taking it seriously, which is what we've not done for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Who does Ange? Here's a question.
Tom McElhone is the new head of sports science.
Here's a question for you guys, right? And it's obviously we're talking about Ange here, but this could go in any line of business or any of us moving job, right? Who would Ange confide in? I mean, you travel half around the world and you're whatever. He's not getting any close confidence there that he can turn. So who does he go to when he's feeling a bit down, which he would have been doing a few weeks ago? Who does he talk to?
Well, I have to admit, does he need anybody?
But he's human.
Sometimes.
I don't know about you guys, but if you live in a foreign land, miles from anywhere, you can need somebody to confirm. I know it's different technology now, right?
Talk to Don Mackay.
There you go.
You maybe need somebody to bounce ideas off and to get a wee bit of feedback. But having said that, he knows what he wants to do, I think, and he'll tell people. And if it doesn't work, he changes it.
Yeah. But things aren't going well, and they weren't going well, and the pressure's building. And let's remember, it does build, right? You need to talk. I know there's Skype and everything else, and FaceTime. You'll talk to people, but I mean, that day-to-day thing. You always need a right-hand man or a right-hand person that you can turn to. He's not got that, has he? He's inherited.
Maybe he has. Maybe Kennedy, maybe his strength is that he has a sounding board.
Interestingly, I read an article too. He doesn't bring the guy. He typically doesn't bring the guy that he worked with before with him.
Yeah.
So he goes with new guys all the time. So I think you could be right, Ralph. Maybe Kennedy's strength is that sounding board. Maybe Kennedy's learning curve is coming to its peak now, where at some point he has to decide: is he going to just stay as this assistant, or does he have the balls now to push on?
When he gets offered the Hibs job again, remember they got offered the Hibs job the last time?
Aye. So, but I don't know. Kennedy doesn't strike me as the main guy, if you know what I mean. I think his level is that he probably could be a very good director of football as well, because he comes across as quite intelligent. But you know, if you were to look at the different personality types that we had, you take Lennon, you take Rodgers, you take Dyla, you take Postecoglou, take all those recent managers. They all have presence. They all have they're the leader. They just come. Kennedy, for me, and when he had that interim, he had a shot at it. Remember, what did he have? 12 or 13 weeks of it? Did nothing. Did nothing. Yeah. He just kept the seat. He just kept the wheel turning until we got to the end.
He kept playing John Joe fucking Kenny at right back.
That was a contract.
That was contractual. Right back.
That was like, okay, we've been doing a wee road. We've took a wee road I wasn't expecting to take. But I'm just looking at Anton McElhone, the head of sports science, Celtic FC, experienced A-licensed coach and elite football performance practitioner on LinkedIn, right? I'm just looking at his LinkedIn. Let me just quickly read this, and then I'm going to give you a few of the people he name drops, right? You'll like this, Hector, especially Hector. Anton McElhone's profile on LinkedIn. I am a dedicated and driven UEFA A licensed coach who has accomplished an impressive portfolio of achievements and experience through roles with New England Revolution, Tottenham Hotspur, Greenock Morton and Bradford City FC. I'm a creative and progressive coach. I have a capacity to lead across all areas of training, match days, analysis, physical conditioning and talent identification, and I possess a proven track record in elite player development. I progressed into the coaching arena following a successful career as a fitness and conditioning coach, and I am proficient in designing programs to enhance team performance, playing style and fitness, as well as club philosophies. Right, so the key managers I have worked under, and these are in no particular order, he's listed them, right, you ready?
I'm not looking forward to this.
Mauricio Pochettino, Harry Redknapp, Andre Villas-Boas, Tim Sherwood, Brad Friedel. I'm going to skip a couple. John Collins, and I'll come back to the two I skipped. David Hopkins at Greenock Morton FC and Bradford City, fair enough. And finally, Tony Mowbray, Hibs FC. So 7 out of 8 ain't bad, let's be honest. So I like the fact he's been to America, a wee bit of wider scope. Depending on Roger's idea, let's go out and see what's out there and get a wee bit of a wider view in the world. So that's good. So
what's interesting, Desi, what's interesting you said there, right, is that he's probably, you don't pick your bosses, you go for an interview and you take it, and he's, a couple of the ones we laugh at, right? But you think to yourself, the experience he's had working with such different personalities in there, right? Yeah, what he'll have learned, what all of us will have learned with different bosses is hopefully the good things, right? But the likes of the Pochettinos and Villas-Boas, imagine at that level.
Sorry, Hector, apologies, you will really enjoy this. So this one, I'll just read one testimonial, right? Testimonial, Mauricio Pochettino, Jesus Perez and technical staff at Paris Saint-Germain. I met Anton at Tottenham Hotspur FC while he conducted a fundamental role in the medical department as the first team reconditioning coach. He demonstrated a great commitment and disposition to the needs of the club, applying the totality of his skill set and expertise. We witnessed his capacity to conduct his work with individual players as well as to lead the whole squad, playing a crucial part in the development of the team. It was a pleasure to work alongside Anton at Tottenham Hotspur. And that's not bad, is it, for a man who's now managing PSG and up until a couple of days ago was still favourite for my United job. And now it's Rodgers. You know what I mean? So that's another key step for the club, isn't it?
Is Rodgers not being linked heavily with the Barcelona job?
No, it's Xavi.
Xavi got
it. I thought he was going to pass this one, maybe come next.
No. They thought they thought they were going to give Coleman to the end of the season, Monty. But now because he's been bumped, because they've had such a disastrous 3 months that they're basically wanting to fast track Xavi. He's the only person that they're.
Sorry, Monty. Did you say you think Brendan is going to pass the Barca job this time?
Surely Gerrard must be a contender. I'm still saying Gerrard for Leicester. I still reckon that's like a very good chance of happening.
Did Brendan not say he was happy at Leicester and enjoying the job?
Yeah, Leicester. No, the best thing Roger said was Leicester were the only people who were interested in him. No one else was interested. While he was still at fucking Celtic, let's remember. He was actually in a job and he's talking about no one was in. So unless Peter Lawwell was not taking his calls, which again, that could be possible. Let's be honest. So that's us. We've covered. I think we should give a wee special shout out to Jota, who really has, George Michael really has hit the ground running, which is always a pleasure to see. I mean, like the other night, that third goal against Hibs, I know Rogic, Twinkle Toes was fantastic the way he ran by 4 guys, but Jota actually taking the ball off Porteous' feet. Yeah. I mean, like the Hibs guy was running towards the end goal, and he basically took it off and then done a wee back drag, and then get decked, and then got up and then took it back. That was fantastic. I mean, I thought that was underappreciated there. Like, I mean, and then Kyoto just literally passes the ball back into the net.
So is Jota above Carter Vickers and your
No, never.
Vikings now?
No. Defences win your leagues, mate. I've told you this before. Forwards win your games, defences win your leagues.
So says Desi, the left back from 1977.
Exactly.
Yeah, certainly had a touch of the Anthony Rubens about him.
Half for the gift not old Crocs. Nevertheless, we forget. But Carter Vickers is a defender who can defend. See that other night when the ball got played through and you thought Nisbet was going to run away for it, and Carter Vickers this did that. It reminded me of watching either yourself, Hector, or Monty. I can't remember. At Soccer Aid for Celtic.
I was a number 9, Desi. Never had caught me. I was a striker with pace. Never had caught me.
Is this the point at which I remind you of a goal every 2 games at Celtic Park?
Exactly. What a ratio. You're not better of a shot at Angeballistic with a ratio like that.
Well, Monty, in the game I played, my team won 3-1, and rather than score an easy goal, I created an opportunity for a tap-in. That's the kind of team player I am.
That's the type of one you are.
He's a Jota to your Larson. He's a Jota to your Bobby Petter. I
think more Lubo. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay, so that's us been. So that brings us up to this evening. We're basically on the evening before we play Livingston tomorrow at home. Livingston have already beat us. Again, we were in the doldrums, but now we face Livingston. So tomorrow, Ralph, let's bring you in. Tomorrow, Livingston. I don't want to say the simple. Do you think we'll win? Do you think we're now at a stage of we're not demanding 4s and 5s and 6s? We're quite happy with a solid 2-0 or 2. No, that kind of like just a clean win.
I think we've got a way of playing games now, a way of approaching games, and that's to drag the other team all over the place, tire them out, and then either finish it off towards the end after, and we do kind of start quick. If we don't get an immediate response from the player, we don't get an immediate 2 or 3 goal head start, then we just wait until we do. But all the time we're watching the other team, they get tired, they're going to make mistakes, and sometimes we finish a game off a wee bit later. And you're right, 2-0 counts the same as 7-0. Mm-hmm. The goal difference now is far and above anybody else.
Are you still betting 7-0 every game? That was a big tie.
Sooner or later it's going to happen. And I've only been saying it for 12 years. But sooner or later somebody's going to get a pasting, and probably over the next couple of months.
I'm quite looking forward to Celtic playing Ross County. They've been name beating Dundee 5-0. I don't know, did you see that game? Did any of you used to see that game on?
I was listening to it on the radio.
The goals were unbelievable.
It was crazy because you actually thought they were going to score more than 5. I was listening to that Radio Scotland's open mic thing, and that wasn't Ross County, because sure, Malky Mackay was saying he wanted Ross County to do what he was telling them to do. And the next game they went 5-0 away for him, which incidentally is somewhat the 3rd biggest away win in the history of the Premier League.
Yeah, Joseph Humbo. If you've not saw his free kick, Monty, I saw you kind of shaking your head. If you've not saw his free kick there for the other night, Joseph Humbo, Ross County versus it's Nakamura-esque, unbelievable. 30 yards out, top corner. The goalie's this in disbelief. What a free kick, unbelievable. Watford have got quite a player there. I mean, I think he'll be like another man. Remember back James Maddison was at Aberdeen for Leicester? That kind of idea. This comes up here, does a wee tough year in the north, and then goes back down to be suddenly a rough and ready superstar. I mean, a toughened superstar. So what about you then, Monty? You for tomorrow? Are you confident? What would you like to see tomorrow that you've maybe either you've seen already or you've not seen so far?
I'd like to see him go with 2 up top. Just try it. Giakoumakis and Kyogo. I don't think he will. But,
is there enough room, do you think? Would you still play the wingers? Would you ask him to sit back a wee bit? How would that work?
I think it's the notion. It's too early for him probably to start looking at this sort of second system, I guess. He's still doing the core. So I would imagine he'll stick with the typical formation. But ideally, I'd like to see 2 up top. I'd like to see how Kyogo plays or builds up a relationship with someone like Giakoumakis, because he looks like a good player. I wouldn't mind seeing, I wouldn't mind seeing Juranovic at right back. Just play him over at right back and even switch Ralston over to left, but he's not going to do that either. You wouldn't mind him mixing it up just a wee bit, but ultimately, just go top of the league tomorrow. We haven't been top of the league in 17 months or something like that. Be nice. And to the earlier point, it puts a wee bit of heat across the city, and they don't have an easy game at Motherwell, 12 o'clock on a Sunday. That's going to be good.
No, that's an interesting point, because again, it is a case of like Postecoglou, and Andy's been having a wee kind of go at all the reporters, as in I thought the league was already over, or he kind of quips in a game we're only not even a quarter of the way through the league kind of idea. So it's a case of, well, maybe we can try different systems, but we don't need to try them just now. No, that way, just get the points on the board, just get to Christmas, maybe get some fresh blood into a first squad left back. I mean, because again, well, Hector, there's a question. I mean, I was asking Monty there what he would maybe like to see either continue or new tomorrow. But that is still a big question on, I think, regards the team, the left back position. Is it just a case of we wait until we get somebody new in, because whoever's there at the moment's not working?
That's been the biggest frustration for me. I mentioned this before in the podcast of the season. We've played about 5 left backs. Now, we're playing away to Ferencváros on Thursday night. So, Bolly has come in twice. He's not part of the European squad. Why not start Scales tomorrow at left back at home at Livingston? The boys had 2 games. Okay, the first one was quite straightforward. He came on the other game, was it the last 50 minutes against Ferencváros? 20. And the boys played all his games all season in Ireland. Yeah, and he's played all the games. He's played in the European qualifiers. He did really well. He's got something about him. Why not play him at left back tomorrow and advance to Thursday's game and give him a chance? Don't make wholesale changes because we want to win the game tomorrow. But play him at left back. There's one position sorted. I go Juranovic at right back. I like to see him in his best position. And then obviously with Rogic being out, I wouldn't go too daft with that. I would put Giacomakis in the middle again, 90 minutes at home. Maybe he gets 60 last week. Maybe 75, 80 minutes tomorrow at home. Build it. Probably Kyogo one side and Joe to the other side.
Kyogo?
No, I wouldn't. Definitely no. Hopefully he can do well, get a few goals in the bag tomorrow, and then make some changes after 60, 65, because confidence must be through the roof just now. Midfield, McGregor's got to start, Turnbull's got to start. Then you go, well, who comes in? I don't know, McCarthy's situation. Is he able to? Is he? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him at all. Listen, I know they've tried to wind you up, but put Bitton in at 6. Let McGregor and Turnbull go and do their thing tomorrow.
See,
hold on. I'm not going to wind up here, right? But at home at Livingston tomorrow, right? Home at Livingston. No as good as St Johnstone. They've not got that organisation. And their home pitch, because it's the Astro, they're dynamite, a tight Astro. They've got a system that suits them to a T. Celtic Park tomorrow, with the front 3, you've got McGregor, maybe with Turnbull as a 5 going forward, and your full-backs, one of them at least going forward. Honestly, don't overthink it. Just put them out there, and they should win that convincingly tomorrow.
Aye, so that was going to be my problem with Bitton playing is, right, we were talking about McGregor's your elite player. He's your Xavi. He's your 9. Bitton is a 5, in my opinion. I don't think he's better than that. He's a guy I would bring on with 15 minutes to go to show up a game. Not to start. He's not a starter in a million miles.
But I think you're stuck in the Starfield situation with him. I think you're in the Starfield situation at some fans have for him with Bitton, I think.
He's never going to get any better. I've watched him for 8 years and he's been the same shitty player I've watched for 8 years.
But hold on. But we're not talking about as a regular starter here.
I know that.
Right. We're talking about the odd occasion. And we're also not talking about as a centre-half.
Right.
And that was my biggest bugbear. Playing a guy who's no centre-half. We've had this conversation. We agree with each other. Yeah. Centre-half. But see, he's a 6 when he gets the ball and get it to McGregor. Get it to the right back.
He's actually very technical. Bitton has actually got really, really good technique. He's a very, very technically good footballer. You're right, he gets caught out at centre half because he's not used to playing that position.
He's no what? I watched him again. No, listen. My point is,
Desi, you're wrong, Desi.
No. My point is, can you not play the Irish boy as a number 6? He can play midfield as well as playing at left back.
Who?
McCarthy.
Just throwing names in so
No,
detailed.
You're embarrassing yourself here, Desi. You're embarrassing
Irish
yourself.
left backs. What was his name we just talked about there? No Scales.
McCarthy.
No, he's not. I don't think he'll go. No, the guy we were just discussing there about
Scales.
Scales can play in midfield.
Oh.
No, he's played his entire season, Paul. He's been playing left back.
He can play
midfield.
He can play midfield. Bitton is not the answer. You take.
He's not a starter.
No, but what you're doing is right. You're taking your key player, your elite player, in his key position, and you're removing him. That is a massive fundamental impact in your whole team. You saw it the other night, the second half against Hibs. The defenders don't know who to pass the ball to because McGregor's not there. They've trained all week with McGregor being the guy who gets the ball, so they look up and they go, who do I give this ball to? Because McGregor's always 10 yards away.
Rogic was the biggest impact.
No, listen. Bitton then takes 4 touches every time. McGregor.
You're making it up, Desi. You're making it up.
Right. I'm telling you, you watch the game.
I watch the games like you and the rest of us. And you just don't like Bitton. Just say, I hate Bitton. And that's it.
Hector, you are away up in the gods. You're in the cheap seats. I'm doing the main stand in my phone sandwiches. Right on line with the 20-yard line. And I'll be watching Bitton standing there like a tortoise.
Nine good passes. See that 10th one that's no accurate. Get him, fuck Ange, get him off.
He'll be standing there, and I bet you Starfield and McVickers run right up next to him. And he'll be like, "Why are you here?"
Who's McVicker? Who's making names up now?
Big Vickers, that's what we call him, Big Vickers.
Who's this called Cameron McVicker?
I'd like to apologise to our 2 listeners that Desi, our usually quite calm host, is going off in one tonight. Apologies for that.
If you honestly think Bitton is half decent, then you're obviously half drunk.
You're missing the point we're trying to say to you. We're not saying start him as the number 1, number 6 every week. What we're saying is we're at home to Livingston tomorrow. Think about this for a wee second. Home to Livingston, right? Rogic is out. Easily put him in. McGregor can play 8, 10 or 6 and still be the best player. We'll be playing outside their 18-yard box for about 80% of the game tomorrow. Don't overthink it.
Are we missing cover? Are we then missing cover? And ironically, he should have been in Qatar earning millions. But are we missing cover for Rogic now? Do we have another number 10 replacement?
You've got Albion Ayeti.
He's a decent link, man. But he's no Tom Rogic, like. You know what I mean? It's a rule.
I'm just looking at the squad here, right? You've got Liam Shaw, who I don't think is going to get a chance this season. We've got Osaze Uhurgite. Again, he gets mentioned in the Euro squads because, again, we're not even getting the brains to put Bolingoli in the Euro squads. So, again, we're struggling for another defender. My question also then is, we're playing Livingston at home. Do we need a holding midfielder?
They're going to sit in. Absolutely not. It's a fair point.
But Desi, we play. Remember,
Sorrow. Surely he would be
Sorrow.
Desi, how do we play? We play with 2 centre backs, right, and 2 full backs. One fullback's usually half the pitch. The other one's next to McGregor. So
and where's McGregor going to be?
No, but usually next to McGregor, right? That's what I'm saying, right? Right. So all I'm saying is you've just got to just relax, take a deep breath, right? And remember, we're at home at Livingston tomorrow.
Exactly. So you don't need a Bitton.
So
we would survive without Bitton.
Busquets gets a day off.
Oh, the Bethlehem man. God bless him.
Right. So see if McCarthy is fit. Would you play Bitton or McCarthy tomorrow if McCarthy is fit?
But McCarthy's. When's the last time he played a game?
It's Livingston at home. You're telling me.
No, but you know importance of match fitness and playing games. When's the last time he actually kicked a ball for Celtic?
So are you going to be? So would you ever play Bitton? Would you play Bitton for 60 minutes, then bring McCarthy for 30?
I fit McCarthy for me, right? Like Hart was brought him his experience.
You want to play McCarthy? Is that what you're saying?
He's a good player. McCarthy's a good player. But the problem McCarthy is, as we all know, it's the number of injuries the last few years, right? And if he's not kicked a ball for what, I don't know, is it 4 weeks? Where's the last game McCarthy played him? Do you know?
4 weeks.
They'd not come on the fence for this game, I think. They'd not come on to the end of that. Maybe.
It might be 10 minutes.
That just shows you how much impact. You can't even remember.
Steve, you're thinking to yourself, when was the last time a guy played for Celtic? Then he really shouldn't be playing for Celtic.
But again, he's just been unlucky. Let's think positive. Right, I'll leave you with your Bitton infatuations. Right, so what's your score prediction for tomorrow, Hector?
I'm going to go for a really comfortable 4 or 5-0 victory.
Okay, Monty.
I'm with Hector on this. I think we're going to just really go for it tomorrow. 4-0.
A Bitton hat trick tomorrow for me.
That's it. I think you've beat off more than you can chew. Ralph,
Sorrow.
what do you think, Ralph? I saw it come on and save a day. A hat trick.
It's going to happen.
What do you think, Ralph? 7-0. Right, okay. I'll just go for a tidy 2-0. I've got a feeling Livingston may cause a wee bit of physical problems, but I think we can win 2-0. Purely
We're not intimidated anymore.
No, but physical.
No.
Tell that to Julian when Lyndon Dykes turned up regards the physical aspect. I think they will put themselves a bit, and we'll not really get much cover from the referees. But that brings us on to the next game, right? So hopefully we get Livingston out of the way. We win that, we go top of the league for at least 21 hours or whatever it is. But then that brings us to Thursday, which is the big game, let's be honest. We need to win. If we win in Hungary, then that's us realistically guaranteed the conference after Christmas. No, I mean, is that the more important game? We're taking it one game at a time, the old cliche. But again, so Hector, have you got any worries with Ferencváros after seeing what we did to them at home?
Because we're away and they've got home advantage. Is there no away fans? I don't think. They're going to have 30,000. So home advantage is obviously big. Obviously, always get concerns away from home in Europe in the group stage. Any victory. Do you know what? If you offer me a draw right now away there, I think that would pretty much guarantee us the conference with a draw. Right? I know there's still 2 games to play, right? That would guarantee us.
Is there only maybe 6 places for 8 groups or something? So I think the win would. I think the win has to be guaranteed. Yeah, I think the win would guarantee it.
I could be wrong, but I think to guarantee third would pretty much a draw would guarantee third. I know still you'd have to play off against the team that was second in Europa League, right?
Having said that, we're getting stronger and better. I don't think it's written yet that we're going to lose 2 games to Betis and Liverpool.
Honestly, I was coming to this, right? I walked into Celtic Park the other night, and we meet a few of my pals' family before the game under the stand, and it was this girl and guy come from Edinburgh, and we were sitting talking. It was like, yeah, well, we're still to play Leverkusen and Betis, and we're talking because we've had a good couple of games. Suddenly they developed that Celtic super team syndrome.
That's like Ralph's diary.
But no, you're like, come on, you've got to be realistic. Leverkusen will beat us 3-0, I think, over there, smoking cigars. Let's be brutally honest. And Betis is going to fear.
Is that not the last game of the group?
But they're still going.
If they've already.
Betis is the last game.
Put the kids out.
But they're still going to play Ferencváros.
5-0 the other day.
They're still going to play Ferencváros, and they're not going to be scared of aim, are they? I can't see Ferencváros beating Leverkusen or Betis.
See, back to your point, Desi, I would see right now, I think, Conference League, blah, blah, blah. Especially the younger generation, they're going, which always the Champions League, Europa League. For us, there was always 3 competitions, weren't there? European Cup, Cup Winners' Cup, UEFA Cup, 3 cracking competitions. The Conference League will build up a bit of esteem over time, but I would take it right now. I'd love us just to get beyond Christmas. And I think in that, if we can get in there, there's a chance of getting a wee run. I'm not saying anything daft, right? But a wee run. I think that would do me. Right?
And if you were
getting experience, we're playing in different countries, we're learning as a squad to go away and work together and come back together.
I don't know, lads. I worry, lads, when we start thinking that the 3rd tier European competition's worth a running. I start to worry that we're falling into a wee bit of a slumber here. Next year, win the league this year is the absolute better priority because you're going to go into the top tier. So why would you take your grounding for next year's European football in a competition that's 2 tiers below?
I'll tell you for why. Because all the knockout ties that we have at the moment are to qualify to get into a group stage. What we need practicing is a knockout tie where we progress to another knockout tie.
But we can do that in the Europa League
The
Rob.
latter stages were the better teams.
But the latter stages, right? So here, I just because this is, I looked at this during the week and went, "We're really sure about this." I'll just very, very briefly, some of the highlights or lowlights. Bear in mind that neither Spurs or Roma are taking this competition remotely seriously. Maccabi Tel Aviv, Lask, HJK, Helsinki, Alashkert, Ghent, Partizan Belgrade, Flora, that's a fucking type of butter. Anorthosis Famagusta, that sounds like a bad ailment in your gut. Bodo Glimt, that's got that in my toe. CSKA Sofia, Eze Alkmaar, who are actually a decent team. Feyenoord, Slavia Prague, Union Berlin, Copenhagen, Rennes, decent team. Bal. Why are we dropping to that level all of a sudden and thinking that that's okay?
Because that's where we are.
No.
This
No.
season, money, just this season, in my opinion. I know,
Okay.
I get your point. I totally get your point. But Ralph, I think Ralph's right. See, just building as a team, more experience, just build and build and build, right, and get a chance to have a wee run of games, right. If we finish second in the group stage we're in just now, we play a team that's third for the Champions League, right. Now, don't get me wrong. If we had a chance with a good strong squad we built over time to win, I'd go for it. I think the Conference League, so you get a chance next year, maybe a couple more rounds to get the team to gel a bit more time in advance of next season. I think it's worthwhile. But I can totally get your point. Totally get it. I'm not saying that's acceptable, but right now where we are after last season,
we are, okay.
I would approach it along the lines of a fighter who's been at the top of their game, gets knocked out, and then try to come back. You have a few wee fights before you start getting in a game with the big boys. You know what I mean? You get the crowd back on your side, get back into the swing of things. And again, I think the Copenhagens and the Rennes, that is our level at this point.
Rennes a good team. Don't underestimate.
Copenhagen would give us a game. These sort of teams would give us a game. Alkmaar.
Basel's
Actually,
the
the
first good team.
we gave them with Feyenoord. Feyenoord are former European champions.
And let's be honest, Spurs and Roma will qualify, right? They've maybe not took it serious to now, but they will qualify. They're two quality teams, right?
And Rosenborg, we're all found Rosenborg are still there, so God bless. Anyway, so that'll be interesting. But so what do you think the score will be on Thursday then, Hector?
I don't think we'll lose. Can I say that?
Okay, you can say whatever you like, mate.
Yeah, I don't think we'll lose.
I think Bitton will play.
If he doesn't, we'll lose. There we go.
Okay, we'll go with that. You heard it here first, folk. Monty, what about you?
I think there'll be a fair few goals in it, but I think we'll come out on top. So either, I think we could be looking at like a 3-2, maybe 2-1 or 3-2 to us.
Hold on, I just go back. I just saw. Have you got ice in your wine there, Hector? Can I just check?
That's my fingers you're seeing there.
I thought I saw ice. That's up there we hear. That's up there we hearing you pronounce it scone rather than scone.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
Do you actually do that?
Well, the East End of Glasgow, we pronounce it the right
The
way.
East End of Glasgow. I don't know. I'd have to ask my wife that. My Denison.
Oh, wait a minute. Denniston's almost kind of city centre nowadays, isn't it?
Aye. They look over the south side, wishing they were on the south side.
Nobody wishes on the south side.
What about Dunoon? What did they say in Dunoon, Ralph? Gonna give something to eat? Scone.
Oh, by the way, I was over there. I was over there 2 weeks ago, Ralph.
No,
Aye, but we got the ferry over to Dunoon, and we were in Dunoon for half an hour. It's a shame, but it's happened to the wee tuna. It's
I thought you were going to say it's a shame I was in Dunoon.
Oh, it's really run down. The highlight in Dunoon was going to the co-op to get a couple of scones.
Well, did they event left or was it us gone?
The American commentary.
Aye. I think the Yanks going away. It's a shame it's impacted the town really bad. But see, Tina Brook and Kames was fantastic. It was lovely down there.
Okay, enough from the Scottish Tourist Board. So, Monty, what was your prediction?
I think we'll either win 2-1 or 3-2. They'll score against us, but I think we're just going to go for it again. And we did look a much superior team on the night. Yeah. I'm not quite sure that the fan thing will be such an influence over there. We just look like a team that's growing every week. So I'd be quite confident, but we will concede.
Okay, interesting. It will be interesting.
What's your prediction, Desi?
No, I was going to say it's interesting because will they come out straight from the start or will they sit in? No, that's the idea. I'm going to go.
You want an Irish boy to play number 6?
Well, I'd play them all as a false number 9. I mean, As long as Bitton's known, I'm quite happy. Get Bitton in goals. Barkas up front. Really bamboozle him.
You want the Irish boy who's never played number 6 to play number 6? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, he's played in midfield,
Okay,
trust me.
Cool.
He's just played in midfield. Scales. Anyway, we'll not go back. It'll be interesting if he comes on tomorrow. I'll be the guy in the main stand putting down my Chardonnay.
With a tartan shot on the flask.
You know what I mean? I'll put my travel rug to the side and clap. I'll tell my butler to clap loudly.
Yeah.
Right. So no, I think we could win 2-1 over there. I think we'll take a 2-0 lead and then do our usual throw away a silly goal and make us all panic. But then old Carter Vickers will drag us through yet again. Old Commando, the old General will get us through. Dave Batista will get us through. You know what I mean? Ralph, what do you think the score will be on Thursday? What's your prediction?
We're going to win 1-0. We're going to play an entirely different kind of game.
Nice. I like that.
2 defenders. And we're going to play exactly the opposite of the way Ferencváros think we're going to play. Wait and see.
Okay, so we're playing Julian and Forrest up front. In fact,
Julian, Jesus Christ.
Right, we're not going back down that road because we had to edit the last podcast, remember? So I think we can all agree the pronunciation is scone, it's not scone.
Scone.
And near Bitton should be let go come January window. So, okay, further than that.
You dare.
Further than that, it's only left for me to thank everyone for hanging on. This was going to be the Angeballistic. We are so happy.
Well, hold on. Can we finish on that? Can we finish that high? Always finish the high, Desi.
Right.
Always finish the high, right? So get back to the start. Angeballistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last 5 games, we were quite negative. The last podcast,
You were.
a lot of bad results. No, a lot of bad results. We all were, right? We're all were. 5 in a row, fantastic. Win tomorrow, top of the league. Put pressure. Gerrard hates pressure, as we know, right? He's like Lennon. Can he handle pressure? Win tomorrow, go top. Let's see how they react. Right, so well done to Ange and the team for the last.
I'm just
said earlier on, if we can still be in contention by Christmas, well, we're way ahead of that plan already.
Yeah, there's some interesting games in November, right? Because again, we tend to do a podcast at the start, end of the month. We've got Ferencváros on Thursday. We've got Dundee away on the Sunday. We've got St Johnstone in the Cup semi-final. We forgot to mention.
That's the game.
Cup semi-final. Then we've got Leverkusen away on the 25th of November. And then we've got Aberdeen and Scott Brown, that guy who loves to score against the Rangers. We'll get them on the 28th of November.
We didn't talk about that, did we? What a goal. And his celebration.
Was
Oh
it
my
Kyogo?
God.
Right, so we'll finish with that, a highlight. So what do we think? Was it Kyogo's goal or was it Scott Brown's goal that gave us the most pleasure on Wednesday night? What do you think?
Kyogo was the 3rd goal, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or Scott Brown's then.
That was the
Kyogo's before.
That's it. So, okay, we appreciated it, Scott, but we'll stick with Kyogo. We've moved on. We've all moved on. The new number 8 is taking over from the old number 8. So that's it. All right, so it's just left for me, Desmond, to say thank you to the man across the water, the man from Spadetown Brewery, Lurgan, CM Monty Burns. Thank you very much, Monty.
Thanks a million, lads. Appreciate it. Good chat.
Thank you. Thanks again for joining, Ralph. It was good to have you on. Thank you, Ralph.
Cheers.
Right, and finally, this left for me to say thanks to the resident Bitton lover, Hector Bandido. Thank you, Hector.
Apologies for swearing, folks.
His name's near Bitton. Good night. Okay, folks, my name is Desmond. Thanks for listening. Good night.